Hey guys, how's it going? I just wanted to do a commentary run over my solo GM this week. If you're doing this as a 3-stack, it's actually a really easy GM. If you've got good loadouts on and you are doing it with some people who know what they're doing, you can get some really consistent sub 10 minute runs. But as a solo player, it's much harder because you're kind of gatekept at a couple of points, namely the kind of electric room where you've got the beams coming down from the ceiling. You get pinched by exploder shanks in there, and I kept on dying at that. It's just an annoying part of this GM if you're doing it as a solo player. Although, this build makes this GM feel so easy. And this is also going to be kind of like a sneak peek at the next build that I'm doing, because this is getting its own video. It's this awesome kind of stasis and solar build. It slows and then freezes, and then you get payoff with your gunpowder gamble in the ignitions. It's really, really cool. You saw me do it just before. You want to break the guns off of the ship. You don't actually have to hit the guns themselves. You saw I was shooting the round bits, and that breaks it off as well. There's going to be 4 of these ships, and if you don't break them off, they're just going to be really annoying. So you always want to make that your priority as soon as these ships fly in. As for what you're seeing now, it's just the build doing what it does. It's freezing, it's slowing, it's getting ignitions off with gunpowder gamble. And yeah, you can just see the ag clear is pretty good with this. I'm trying to work towards getting my Transcendence bar topped up, because there's an overload that spawns in with a bunch of other ads, and having Transcendence for the hailfire and the ability regen is just really nice here. So yeah, as you can see, the overload comes in, then I transcend, and I think I stick a hailfire spike to it, just because that like permanently stops its health regen. So yeah, there you go. One thing I'm also doing here, the ads are only going to spawn in as long as you're standing on the Warsat. So you can see I actually hop off here because there's going to be 2 ships that spawn in that I don't want coming in just yet. So these 2 hit. And then again, you break the guns off of the ship because they're going to be annoying. And you don't have to shoot the guns, just shoot the bit on top. There are going to be 3 vandals that spawn on the left one. I always try and kill those over there, or at least get them low, because they're going to come over to the rock on the right hand side where we're standing. It's always annoying having them sniping and then having the captain that spawns in, yeah, there you go, running towards you at the same time. So I normally try to get some of those vandals out before he spawns. And as well, they're also really annoying to have during the barrier servitor, which is right there. I always try and use a super on this, or have Transcendence. I'm using tether, and the suppression actually goes through the barrier beams, which is what you're seeing. Again, it breaks there because I've got Facet of Dawn, so my shuriken has given me Radiant, which is anti-barrier. And yeah, I hop off the plate because I don't want the 2nd ship, or 4th ship spawning in. And then back on now, kill the Vandal, and then I break the guns off the ship again. And then yeah, you can just see the build is just powering through all this stuff. There's another overload here, so you're going to want to pop Transcendence again. And you see already stunned from the slow from the shuriken. And then yeah, you can just lock them down with AoE, and all the other ads around are dying too. If you're seeing my health just randomly tick up, it's because I've got Facet of Mending on. So my grenade final blows are giving me cure ×2. And because we've got hailfire spiked so much, you can just see that I'm staying super healthy during these fights. Again, I probably could be standing on the Warsat here to make this go a bit quicker, but I wanted to deal with that overload, so here's what it is. And again, yeah, you're just seeing the build is just freezing and causing all these ignitions. And then that's the first part done. I do just quickly want to say now, kind of explain what I'm going to do in this next room. You're going to see me, as soon as I get in there, run to the left-hand side. It's probably the safest spot to you to actually stand because nothing really runs into that room. Although there are going to be, I think, 2 vandals that spawn, a couple of yellow bar marauders, and I think like 2 red bars as well that can run in there. But apart from that, nothing else is going to kind of like play aggressive and run in there. You see me slow down the vandal because I know it's spawned in. And then just get rid of that. This is going to drop a mine. Normally I shoot it, but I didn't see it this time. I don't know where it went. And then that 2nd vandal comes in. I got snuck up on, apparently. And then this is where you're going to see 2 yellow bars spawning at the back, so you just get rid of those. Oh, through this time. And then, yeah, I just deal with the ads in the middle. Get a dust field on there to freeze. There's going to be one marauder that spawns in on the right hand side at some point, so just keep an ear out for them. Should be pretty soon. Yeah, there you go. And then from here, once the middle's clear and I'm sure that there aren't any mines that are just going to blow up in my face, you want to just walk out and super the barrier and the overload on the left straight away. Again, the suppression stuns the overload, and the immune from the servitor kind of gets like counteracted, I guess, by the suppression. Like it doesn't give them immune from that, so yeah. And you can just see Transcendence with this build, it's just powering through these two champions. Then you're going to have another overload spawn in, and then 4 Tracer Shanks. And yeah, you can see, I'm going to try get slow on the champ. And then just Charkans and Hailfire Spikes. Yeah, and this is what this build does. Slows them down, and then ignitions, and slow and freeze. It's so good at dealing with the overload champs in this gym. And then you go up to this vent thing here, you open it, and then I normally try and get back to the room. And then shoot it from here. There's going to be 4 exploding shanks that spawn in. I always try and kill them first, because these ones will actually kind of like move into where you want to be hiding. And there's also going to be 2 of the Tracer Shanks too, which you can shoot from the right hand side. You got to be careful with these ones because they hit really hard. I think you'll see me even having Woven Mail up, and I get hit by one. It just takes me, yeah, straight into the red. So you got to be careful of these. And then we're just going to get those 2 down. Then deal with the ads in the middle again, if there are any left. And then I'm going to move up onto the left-hand side to deal with the first overload, and then move into the middle to deal with the second. Here we go. So the slow stuns. I'm trying to get my Transcendence here with an ignition from conditional. Yep, there you go. And then just Transcend, and then from here it's just easy. It's just Shuriken and Hailfire Spike, and then conditional shots. One thing I do want to say here, conditional, I don't know when they did it. It used to not be able to benefit from the anti-barrier buff to break through barrier shields. It does now. It makes it super nice. You'll see me a couple of times use it to break through some barrier champ shields. I don't know when they updated it, but they have. And it's just, it feels so good because it literally is just like one shot and it's a clean break on their shields. Okay, this right here is the room where you need to be really careful, and you want to make sure that you have got your Dusk Field Grenade saved for this, because it's how we're going to stop, I think, 2 Shanks and 1 Exploder from basically attacking us, which gives us time to dunk the ball. You just want to take these 2 Tracer Shanks out first. I was actually playing a little bit passively here. I probably could have moved up and done this slightly quicker. But once you've done that, you want to run up to the ball, and then you want to wait until this laser kind of electricity thing goes past. And then you see, I wait for the lightning beam, pick it up, and then you want to throw your Dusk Field Grenade around here. So it's stopping that exploder. Move to the other side, wait for that beam, and then move across and dunk. As soon as you dunk, some of these Shanks are going to despawn. So you see, yeah, that one just in front despawned. Then the beams go down and you can move forward. That is honestly the hardest part of this entire GM, is this section, just because it's like really difficult to do as a solo player. When you've got 2 other people, it's easy as, but here it's a bit harder. You're going to have an overload here. In fact, I think you're going to have 3 on 1 barrier, which is why you see me shoot the tether. Get the suppression on the overload. And then I'm going to Gunpowder Gamble, Transcend, and then from here it's just what the build does. Just Shurikens, and you just stun them with the slow, and then the barrier comes, but I've got Radiant so I can break through. And then yeah, you'll see 2 overloads literally walk out the door, and they get literally no further than that because they're stunned and then they're frozen. This is just what the build does. doing like really solid damage over time, and just keeping things frozen and not able to move and taking ignition damage and shatter damage. It's just a really solid powerhouse build. And yep, there you go. You kill everything here, and then this opens up. In this next section, I play a bit too passively. I can move up. There's a couple of dregs on the left-hand side that you see me shoot. And they're really not going to kind of like move up much more than where they are. You can even kill them from here. But I spend a bit too long trying to get the Vandals in the back, and you know, I think I mess up in breaking the shield of the Barrier Servitor once, but you can be a little bit aggressive here. Especially with this build, and if you've got Radiant as well, you can just break through the shield super easily. So yeah, you can see me try to go after the Vandal, but I kind of back out. I was playing safe here, I just didn't want to kind of end the run, but yeah, I didn't even reload here. So, not amazing, yeah. But yeah, this is just dealing with this. One thing you do want to have here is, at the very least, your super, but if you've got Transcendence as well, it can help, because past this barrier, on the left hand side, there's 3 overload champs. They're pretty bunched up, so Tether will normally hit all of them. But it's just, you'll see what the build does to them in a second. It's just really, really solid. Yep, so you can see just dealing with the Barrier Servitor here. I think it's on the next time it puts its shield up, that's when I move up. But I could have done that before. So there you go, I throw a Gunpowder Gamble. And yeah, this is just doing ad clear stuff. This isn't too difficult here. You can see the overloads spawn in. There's 3 of them right there. And then you're spreading so much slow and freeze and hailfires doing loads of damage too. You can just see that these overloads just pretty much get like completely wiped out. Yeah, there you go. I kind of took a moment to be like, oh, are they all dead? And then you just move forward. In this boss room, you're going to have a couple of servitors spawning in, and a few shanks on either side as well. It's not difficult stuff, you can just kill those really quickly. Yeah, there you go, there's the first one. And it's literally just ad clear, there's kind of not really much to add to this. One thing I will say, as soon as the boss spawns in, it's doing this weird thing at the minute where it like clips into the ground from like where it spawned from. I don't know why it's doing it, but it is for some reason. It comes back up straight afterwards, so it's not like that big of a bug, I guess. It's just a bit weird that it's doing it in the first place. Although as soon as the boss does spawn, you see these kind of electrical things coming out. These are really good cover. But you got to be careful because they can electrocute you at the same time, and they take you down to red health. So yeah, you just got to be careful, not get too close to these. Again, this is just like ad clear. You're going to see me use Transcendence in a second, and you just kind of like Shuriken Hailfire. And there you go, just Shuriken Hailfire, bit of damage. This boss has got a really, really short kind of melee attack on it as well. So you can get super close to this thing and it's not going to be like that threatening. And as well, remember when you dodge, you get your melee back and you also get the damage resist from Winter Shroud. So yeah, you can just chain that together and your survivability is going to be really good. You're going to have a barrier spawn in the middle here. It's not that scary. Again, I think I super it just because I know I've got time to regen it back. One thing I will say for the second barrier though, is that I'm trying to save my heavy, because the boss goes into this aggro phase at the end, and you 100% need to have heavy for them, or have Transcendence or super. If you've got all of those things, even better, because it's going to be a bit hectic and it's going to kind of like run you down, and that is definitely not a part where you want to end up dying. Again, you see Shuriken for Radiant, and then just using my linear here. And then the boss game ends itself for me, so I'll take that. And then in this second part, I normally, yeah, you see I just got hit by the thing. But where I'm standing now behind this pillar, it's pretty safe. The boss doesn't move up into it. And you can see I'm just trying to build up my transcendence bar. Spend all my abilities and then transcend. And then just, again, stuff you've seen before. Shuriken Hailfire Spike. And you can see how close it is and it's not doing its melee. So you're pretty safe here. Again, Shuriken Hailfire. Dodging every so often just to get the damage resist from Winter Shroud. One thing I will say that I mess up here, there's going to be a second barrier that spawns in, but there's also going to be 2 of the Tracer Rifle Shanks. You want to kill those as soon as possible. I throw a Gunpowder Gambler, but it really annoyingly misses one of them. And as soon as I get a stun on that Barrier Servitor, it is the first thing that I go after. Again, Shuriken for Radiant here. Just a bit of extra damage. And you see I break the shield, and as soon as I go after that Shank, because it can take you down into red, like from what you saw before, they're just really, really dangerous. They should absolutely be a priority. And again, I'm saving my heavy here just because I want to have it for the final phase. Dodging there just to get empowered abilities. And then yeah, this is just me kind of like really slowly chipping down at this Barrier Servitor. As soon as this is dead, the boss is going to kind of like chase you down a little bit. But there are these blast doors on the left hand side. You can actually see kind of like electricity moving across them at the minute. You want to run over there straight away because you're not going to have ad spawns if you're standing there. And it's also just a super safe spot with some really good cover. So yeah, you can just see it working down the Barrier Servitor. And then once it goes down, you want to run over and you'll see the kind of like blast doors start lifting. Yep, there you go. And then we're just going to stick under here for the kind of rest of this encounter pretty much. Or at the very least until we get him down to that kind of last quarter of health. What you're seeing me do here, I'm trying to get the freeze and ignition on conditional. I think it has to land 10 out of its 12 pellets, so it's not based on how much damage you do with the gun or anything like that. I was trying to do it. You will see kind of like the range at which an ignition can go off with this gun, because I end up landing one at some point, but yeah, it's like I'm not in that right range at the minute. I was more just kind of trying to see how far away I could get it here. But yeah, you can see none of these exploder shanks are going to spawn on top of you, and you just deal with them, and then in killing them you'll get Gunpowder Gambler as well. Just chuck that at the boss, and then you just want to work him down here. Again, you can see I'm not using any of my heavy. I'm not using Transcendence here because I want to save it for that last phase. And yeah, this is just kind of chipping down at the boss. Throwing grenades, chaining together abilities with Inmost Light, just stuff you've been seeing the entire run. One thing I will say, when the boss gets down to that last quarter of health, it then gets a crit spot on the front, which makes it pretty easy to shoot. But there's also going to be some of the Tracer Shanks. Normally you can kill the boss fast enough for them to not be a problem. But you actually see that I end up not doing enough damage, and I just kill the boss in time before I get sniped by one of them. Normally you want to just completely nuke it. I thought I was going to be fast enough, but I wasn't. And just in the nick of time I got it. But in your runs, if you're doing this with maybe a different heavy, maybe like a Edge Transit or something that can just nuke it better, you should be good. But again, you can see I'm just throwing abilities. And there you go. You just saw I got the ignition on conditional. There you go. Shadow Shot, Transcend, and then just Shuriken Hailfire, and then just landing shots with my heavy. Again, Shuriken Hailfire, dodging to get damage resist from Winter Shroud. And I'm kind of stun locking the boss here. You can see I get sniped once, and then double Shuriken to finish it. And there we go. Yeah, honestly, this is a pretty kind of easy GM, apart from that electrical room, where it's just annoying to get past. But I hope that's good. I hope you found this helpful if you plan on doing a solo GM or think the build is cool. It's getting its own dedicated video too, so keep an eye out for them. I'm going to do like full explanation of everything and different fragments you can run. It's such a cool build. I really encourage you to watch them, and then if you want gameplay, you can come back to this and watch it as well. But that's about it from me. See you.